Mr. Ng, what about minimum wage? This has been the talk of the town. What's your stance on it?
So actually, I've been pushing for more looking at this as a PWM versus minimum wage, where actually, I think as SM Taman has said, it really isn't two separate ideas, you know. The progressive work model that we have is like a minimum wage. For example, with the cleaners, I think we've set it at 1,450 this year now.
Right.
And I think the PWM is better because it sets a career path and a progression for the workers. It's targeted as well rather than every sector, and I think that's important. It takes some time to implement, and I think that's again the middle ground, so that it gives companies and businesses some time to adjust before the PWM, or well, let's just say you can call it what you want, whether that 1,450 kicks in. And I think many people are asking, why does PWM take so long? And that really is to be fair to the employers. Cleaners, for example, they've already signed or win a tender because it's awarded, and they have that sum, and then if you increase the wages, they might not be able to cover their cost. And so that's why it gives time to factor in them to, when a new tender, when they bid, they will factor in the PWM as well.
So the ultimate goal for you is minimum wage for all sectors? Is that the ultimate goal, or if this is temporary?
I think that's the easiest way to push things forward, of getting everyone a sum that they can be paid. And I hate this debate of this terminology, whether it's PWM, and yes, I'm a PAP MP, but let's just focus on helping the people. So there's this debate now where there's, I think James mentioned 100,000 people live with a wage below 1,004. And I've been trying to find who are these 100,000 people, and if they're in a certain sector, for example, service sector, then as an individual now, I would push for that sector to get PWM. I realize it's not the service sector, because in McDonald's you earn more than 1,004 even. And so I try to look at it that way. If there is, say, I don't know, the landscaping is already in, so let's see which sectors are the one that are affected the most, and then I, as an MP now, I will push for that sector to get PWM, which I think DPM has now said we are looking to expand the PWM to more sectors already. And I think that then there will be win-win. So rather than debate the terminology of, let's just debate what is this amount that we want Singaporeans to have, and then I'll fight for the different sectors to get that amount. And I think we often forget there's workfare as well. It's just top up the salary for the lower income.
Right. So I think the benefit of pushing for minimum wage is so that people think about the other end of the possibilities, and then eventually it will push people to the center. Right? Even if you don't get there, you get somewhere nearer there.
That's the same as PWM, really.
Right. I think so. I think so, but for all sectors, right? Eventually, wouldn't you say?
So, yep, we slowly push PWM to more sectors.
Right. Okay. So
again,
I think
I look at this as an activist.
Right.
I am a politician, but I'm a politician who is an activist, and I know you have questions for that later. But
yes.
So for me,
that's a good segue. Yeah.
If you tell me there's 100,000 people that live with a wage below 1,004, as an activist, I would say tell me who they are. And the path of least resistance for me is to fight for PWM to extend to this sector so that I can help them. That's the fastest way. I don't want to spend my time fighting on terminology, when actually it's really about the same thing. Of course, you're going to have that debate in Parliament between the different people, but I choose to focus on how I can be the most effective in helping this 100,000 people. And by the way, I really don't know who these 100,000 people are.
Right. Okay.
My team is trying to look into it now.
Okay. So you've been in conversation with James as well, Dr. James Lim, or?
We chat in Parliament, yes.
Right. Okay.
We've had a few chats.
All right. Okay. Great. What about PWM for foreign workers as well?
Believe it or not, I've pushed for that. If you look at my speeches, I've pushed for it for cleaners, for example, for the lift technician. Of course, the answer is no, but they would recommend that companies do it. And in fact, I shared Hanif's story in Parliament, saying that they do the same amount of work. Why should we pay them less? And then for the lift technicians, I pushed it as a safety issue, which I still strongly believe, because a lot of the lift technicians they do critical work for us. The safety of our lifts are in their hands, and a lot of them are Malaysians. And what I shared in Parliament is I don't want an angry Malaysian lift technician maintaining our lifts, because he would see, actually, I'm doing the same work as a Singaporean, and then I push this as meritocracy again. But because I'm of a different nationality, they pay me less.
Right.
So ask yourself, how does that make you feel? Will you give 100%, knowing in this dark lift shaft that the guy beside me actually doing the same work but gets paid more. Out of fairness and out of meritocracy, we should pay the same. And PWM is about improving the sector, improving the customer service and all. And if a lot of these sectors, let's face it, the bulk of them, of the workers, are foreigners. How do we uplift the sector if we don't help the people that form the majority of the workforce? And I always said this, it's Team Singapore. Team Singapore includes all of us. I really got quite depressed with all the xenophobic speeches in Parliament, us versus them. And I've always used this quote in Parliament: there is no us or them, only us, one human family connected in ways we sometimes forget. And I think we need to remember that if we draw the line so clearly that Singaporean foreigners, and I might take some flack now for saying all this, I'm not sure whether that's the kind of society I want to bring my 3 daughters up in. I want to bring them in a society where what we started, where there's meritocracy. Hanif does good work for us, we pay him for his good work and not discriminate because he's Bangladeshi and not Singaporean. And I would fight hard to get to that stage.
Right.
And I see some will say, have I fought for it legislatively? I have. The answer is no, and you know me, over the years I will keep repeating the same thing, and this fight will continue. You have my word on that.